Hello everyone, it's Dr. Stuart S. Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very first week of December 2018.
We're off with a lot of news.
Well, the thing is, I had everything prepared just last night, but this morning, or on the last day, so many other things have happened that I've had to add this as an addendum in the front of my news. And in fact, it's so exciting that even the clock is chiming because it says, wow, you must tell everyone the news, ring it from across the land. Yeah. So, well, I guess the most current big story is that the 41st President of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, or George Sr., passed away at the age of 94 on November 30th. And he had, believe it or not, 5 children and their spouses, 17 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and 2, so that's even more than I have, all those grandchildren. Anyway, his son, George W. Bush, was the 43rd President of the United States, and George Sr. was admitted to Houston Methodist Hospital with a blood infection on April 22nd, which was 2 days after the funeral of his wife of 73 years, former First Lady Barbara Bush. Now, you may recall that I was in Houston in March, and I was visiting with a bush, and...
Not a tree.
No, well, they think they're a tree, but kind of looked like a tree, actually. Mm-hmm. But anyway, once, when I came home, and then very shortly thereafter, Barbara Bush died, and this other Bush person said to me,
a Bush person.
I'm not going to name the full name, but he said,
or a rock,
he said very soon. I'm talking. He said very soon that the senior will pass this year, and it came true. So I guess they knew. But the interesting thing is, he was 94, so 9 and 4 is 13. There's that 13 again. Mm-hmm. And also, I know that next week, the week of December 3rd, there will be, I should say, most likely may be, indictments that have been sealed that will be opened and revealed. And George Sr. may have been in some of that. So maybe it was his little way of escaping this... information and publicity, which is not so good for him. Also interesting why this would happen next week. Next week is the Jewish holiday Hanukkah, and that's on the Monday, and on the Friday is Pearl Harbor Day. So bookends of information, because Hanukkah represents a rededication and Pearl Harbor represents a sneak attack. So there's going to be a rededication of the United States and a sneak attack on these people who deserve to be indicted. The other big news that happened just the other day was the 7.0 earthquake in Anchorage, Alaska, which was followed by many, many aftershocks, one of which was as much as 5.7. There were shattered roads, buildings that were damaged. The quake broke store windows, knocked items off of shelves. The worst thing I saw was all that red wine on the... It's like, oh, that's horrible. Opened cracks in a 2-story downtown building, disrupted electrical service and disabled traffic lights, and actually threw a grown man out of his bathtub. That's why I never take a bath. You never know, an earthquake's going to just fling you the frick out. Anyway, all flights were suspended at the Anchorage airport. And interestingly, up till now, there are no deaths or serious injuries reported, other than the man being thrown out of his bathtub.
But it's amazing because when you look at the pictures, like the roads and everything, they don't talk about the cars going into any of the cracks. They're all just...
No, you see cars falling. Yes, many of them. You may recall, those of you who are old enough, as I am, that in 1964, in the same area, was a 9.2 earthquake, which was one of the top 3 to ever be recorded on Earth in modern times. And many quakes this week have been reported even in here in the United States, all over the place, and parts of Greece, Turkey, Indonesia had a lot of big quakes. They are predicting in New Zealand that 2019 will have many major earthquakes, and they have stated that the big earthquake they had a couple of years ago is actually moving the North Island closer to the South Island, which, as you know, I predicted that eventually New Zealand will be connected to Australia as that whole area is rising up.
So do you think this earthquake in Alaska could be a precursor to something even bigger?
Well, you never know, but I'm going to get to that in a moment, and later on in my news, because it does involve many volcanoes filling up with magma, and there has been a huge increase in global quakes because the sun is in a solar minimum, and that creates a cold onset or an ice age, huge storms, volcanoes, and earthquakes, and I think that's what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. Now, going back to North America, to the other part of North America, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is almost ready to have a major diplomatic agreement with Mexico on how to handle the border crisis with these immigrants. I don't want to call them a caravan. They're not a caravan. But it's not clear if Mexico will stick to the deal or accept it because there's no signed paper. It's only verbal. But, and we are filming this, today is December 1st, 2018, and today is the day when the new president of Mexico takes office, President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, and that's in a big ceremony in Mexico City. And as you know, I do have a connection to Mr. Obrador through friends in Mexico. And he will meet with Mike Pompeo this weekend after the G20 summit in Argentina. My favorite country is Argentina, even though it's warm. I don't know why, I just like it there. Anyway, the expected agreement would say that the Central American members of this line of people, they wait inside Mexico while their applications are being processed in the United States. They can't just come in and then process. They have to stay where they are. So with that in mind, if the Mexicans do not agree to that, President Trump said that he may close the entire southern border.
Wow.
The entire border with Mexico will be closed, and that would not be a good thing for Mexico. Or people who want to go to Tijuana and drink tequila and go to some houses.
How about when we were in El Paso and they work back and forth all the time?
That's the thing. You know, in El Paso, right across from Ciudad Juarez, people just walk back and forth. It's not a thing.
And a lot of them work in El Paso from there, and they go, like you said, back and forth. So
yes.
They live in very much peace and harmony together.
Yes. And so the other thing is many of these Central American migrants realized that they were, quote, sold a bad bill of goods by the organizers who pushed them and paid them to be on this journey. A top U.S. Border Patrol official in Southern California said that some of the 6,000 migrants staying in shelters in Tijuana are deciding whether they should pursue entry into San Diego or return home.
That's a long journey for them to go back now.
Well, yes. He said, we've heard rumors through our non-governmental agency contacts that many of the migrants are starting to realize that this isn't what they expected. Well, what did they think was going to happen? People are going to throw flowers at them and candy
didn't know.
as they walk through?
Yeah, who knows what they were told?
It said that non-governmental organizations who may or may not have good intentions may have intentionally misled people to take the 3,000-mile trip.
That's what I said. It's going to be a long ways if they decide to go back. It's not going to be so easy.
Now, here's the thing. 90% of asylum applicants from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras are denied. Historically, less than 10% of those who claim asylum from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador are not found eligible to enter the country. Most of these migrants claim that they're seeking jobs or want to join family already in the U.S. They have all refused multiple opportunities to seek protection in Mexico or with the UN Refugee Agency. So they've already denied help from other people. They're seeking employment or family reunification are not grounds for asylum under U.S. law or under any international obligation. So they most likely will all be refused, especially since many of them are not even Central American. They're from Bangladesh and Nigeria and every place else that has something to do with Latin America. Another thing is that out of 6,000 migrants currently residing in Tijuana, a third of them are being treated for health-related issues. There are 3 confirmed cases of tuberculosis, 4 cases of HIV/AIDS, and 4 separate cases of chickenpox. At least 101 migrants have lice and multiple instances of skin infections. Sounds like a lovely group that you want to come into your home.
Traveling 3,000 miles in horrible conditions.
There's also a threat of hepatitis due to the unsanitary conditions. They only have, now, there's 6,000 people.
Right.
They have only 35 portable bathrooms. And a sign that reads, "No spitting," was put up, as coughing and spitting by migrants are rampant in the shelter. That's kind of a common thing in Latin America, anyway, in those countries. And here's another thing that we need to keep in mind, because there's a lengthy statement made by Department of Homeland Security's Secretary Kirsten Nielsen, who wanted to provide an update on what occurred and attempt to dispel many of the rumors and much of the misinformation circulating. She said, her statement comes after the tear gas was deployed, as hundreds of migrants attempted to illegally cross the border and threw rocks at Border Patrol. She highlighted that these actions should not come as a surprise, since they acted similarly when confronted by the Mexican border police. First, the violence we saw at the border was entirely predictable. This caravan, unlike previous caravans, has already entered Mexico violently and attacked border police in 2 other countries. I refuse to believe that anyone honestly maintains that attacking law enforcement with rocks and projectiles is acceptable. It is shocking that I have to explain this, but officers can be seriously or fatally injured in such attacks. Self-defense isn't debatable for most law-abiding Americans. Okay, so all of you who are complaining, oh, they tear-gassed them. So if someone came to your front door and threw bottles and rocks and all kinds of stuff at you, what would you do? Oh, come on in, have lunch with me.
Not just someone, a mob.
Yeah, seriously.
A mob.
You know, honestly, these are not nice people. If you're coming to a country because you want to immigrate, because you want a better life, why are you waving your own country's flag and then throwing projectiles at the border? That's not someone who wants to live here peacefully. Now, she further pointed out that the caravan is far larger and more organized than the previous ones. There are 8,500 caravan members in Tijuana and Mexicali, and there's reports of additional caravans on their way.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that. Wow.
She also said that pepper spray and tear gas has been used to deter migrants from illegally entering the United States under Barack Obama. So don't blame President Trump. This is a standard procedure when the border of the U.S. is attacked.
Well, he said, if they kept it up, they would use guns. So the fact that they're not even using guns is amazing. Because like you said, if somebody knocked on your door, a mob out there, you're going to do what you need to do to protect yourself and your family.
And so while all this is going on here, what's going on in Europe, Canada, and Australia? Because no one's mentioning it. Immigrants overrun each of those Western countries by the millions. In Europe, there are no less than 90, quote, no-go zones, which means nobody goes in there, which inhabit dozens of towns and regions of France, Germany, UK, Holland, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Italy, and Spain. The immigrants there have created separate societies within those countries with separate languages, cultures, and ways of life. According to the Geller report, quote, Europe is sinking fast. Left-wing globalist politicians have destroyed Europe. and reckless economic and immigration policies. This is what the Democrat Party wants for the United States. And French child President Emmanuel Macron is one of the many European political elites who despise President Trump. And that's because Trump will not ruin America the way politicians such as Macron have ruined Europe. And the mainstream media in the United States love Macron because he is opening up the borders and letting anybody in. In Vancouver, Canada, it's now dominated by Chinese immigrants, and the Canadian maple leaf flag is mostly out of sight, and what's instead? Chinese flags in Canada. In Sydney, Australia, no longer an Australian city, it features flags and immigrants from over 100 countries, and they don't speak English. If you look at Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Southern California, there are signs that there are also many flags from Mexico and Central America. What does it mean? It means Western countries are importing their own form of national suicide by allowing endless immigration to deform and displace their own culture, languages, and ethos. Europe has given up on freedom of speech when it comes to Islam because you cannot say anything against the Muslims because it's too dangerous, and the politicians are especially cowardly, according to that report. It also predicts that as the U.S. imports another 100 million immigrants within the next 30 years, it will write its own national suicide story. And right now, the U.S. has 1.7 million legal and illegal immigrants every year from 196 different countries. So times that by 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. Except that now there is a revolution happening in the United States and Eastern Europe that will break this trend very, very soon. In fact, it's already started. Now, you know that Russia and Ukraine have an issue. It is even thought that Russia may invade Ukraine totally and occupy that country the way it used to during the Soviet Union. And we also know that there is a Russian gas and oil pipeline that goes through Ukraine into Europe. And whenever Russia and Ukraine have a problem, Russia shuts down the pipeline and Europe has no oil or gas in the winter and they freeze. Now this has come to a change because an agreement has been reached to lay a gas pipeline connecting Israel and European countries. The agreement has been signed by Israel, Greece, Italy, and Cyprus with the backing of the European Union. This pipeline would be the world's longest and deepest underground gas pipeline, 2,000 kilometers long and 3.5 kilometers deep, and will connect these four countries and allow Israel to export gas to the Balkans and Central Europe. It is estimated that the work on this gas pipeline will begin in a few months. So this circumvents the Russia-Ukraine issue and also boosts Israel's finances, which is another reason why all the Arab countries are being friends, because now Israel's going to have more money than they do. And they don't want Israel to now determine the price of gas and oil, so they're going to be friends with them. Now going back to the weather, scientists have now said that the ocean circulation in the North Atlantic is at its weakest for the last 1,500 years. And at that level, it triggered a mini ice age. And it will have a profound effect on North American and European climate. And this happened once before, and it was a period called a Little Ice Age between the year 1600 and 1850 AD. Now, this will also change the transfer of heat and energy, not only in Europe and North America, but will impact Africa and Asian monsoon systems and the sea surface temperatures. So I can tell you that the Ice Age already has begun. We here in Michigan, I think we've had one of the snowiest Novembers I can ever remember.
And you have short sleeves on.
Because you make me so hot.
That is. I thought maybe this is to match in with the snow.
Well, and because it's from Novosibirsk, the coldest place on the earth, one of them. And here's the other thing with the solar minimum. There will be an increase in paranormal activities and mental illnesses. I'm just making
a statement.
Point, yes.
The finger has to go that way.
Oh, was it? Oh, it was
Yeah.
bent,
Yeah. No, it
it
has
was
to
bent
go,
the wrong way.
yeah, it has to go like this way. Okay. My turn.
Well, just let me say one more
One
thing.
more thing.
Keep your eyes on the news next week. There will be revelations about China, the Clinton Foundation, illegal spying by our allies, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, and much, much more.
All right. And you're getting ready for your January class, right?
Many things
There's
I'm
a
getting ready
lot
for.
of these things going on. So, I just have a couple stories
Good.
that I think are important, or at least important.
We'll see.
Enough to think about. In Oregon, did you know that they want to legalize psychedelic mushrooms now?
I thought they always had them.
Well, they have them, but they're not legal. Anyways, the Oregon Secretary of State just approved language for a potential ballot initiative that would legalize psychedelic mushrooms, but they have to get almost 120,000 signatures to actually put the initiative on the ballot.
How come you never cook with them?
Psychedelic mushrooms? I didn't know.
I love mushrooms.
They're not psychedelic ones, dear. Anyway, so apparently they're trying to make this on the 2020 general elections. And if they approve the initiative, it decriminalizes psilocybins. So you say it? Psilocybins?
Is that like racism against psilocybin people?
Maybe. And allows for the licensed manufacturing and administration of the substances. So apparently the group that's putting this initiative together wants to advance a breakthrough therapeutic model currently being perfected in research settings at top universities around the world, because some studies have shown that magic mushrooms can have positive effects, especially for people undergoing cancer treatments and chemical depression. Right now, possession of psilocybins is a felony because they're classified as a Schedule I substance. Now, my issue is, I don't have issues with it's for medicinal reasons, but then people start doing it for recreational reasons, and then, we kind of start continuing to fall downhill as a society.
Is it possible to go further downhill?
Well, it seems that sometimes it can and sometimes it can't, but my story says I think it's still going downhill. The next story I have is about a blind man who has filed a lawsuit against Playboy for discrimination because its online publication is not compatible with his screen reading software, so he cannot enjoy the publication to its fullest. A blind man.
Right.
So Donald Nixon, who happens to be from Queens, New York, says that Playboy is violating the American Disabilities Act.
Only if someone from New York would do that.
By not making the site accessible to the blind.
They can't see the pictures anyway.
Well, I guess they want something else.
Oh, they want maybe braille breasts on the screen. That might be. Maybe.
Or other body parts, any gender. Anyway, he's filed a class action civil lawsuit against the company, and they say in this article he's requesting unspecified damages and a change to their software. However, Playboy has not really commented, but this article says if convicted, they face a fine of more than $100,000.
Oh my God.
But apparently this man has filed 47 other lawsuits against other companies for similar ADA violations.
Because he has nothing else to do.
Well, what about his attorney? Or is he an attorney?
Seriously.
I mean,
that's like filing a suit against the traffic laws because he can't see the red and green lights without touching them.
Yeah, well, anyway, so that's also going on. And my last story has to do with all the issues that are happening now. I'm going to say against women, but in this case against marriage, against relationships, against commitment, because there is a woman, Matilde, and I don't know how to say that last name with that accent.
Sweskun.
Sweskun?
Yeah.
Anyway, she is a part of some organization called BBC 100 Women.
Oh, BBC.
Who claim that there are 100 influential and inspirational women around the world who give their opinions on things, right?
Every woman gives their opinion on things.
But this is, official, so suppose that makes it better, right? And at least they have more advertising dollars behind them to tell people that. Anyway, this group of women are now coming out saying that they believe engagement rings are anti-feminist. Because it signifies that the woman belongs to another person.
Oh my goodness.
And that women are saying because they have a bigger diamond, they're worth more.
Yeah, let me see them take away engagement rings now from women, see what happens.
That's what they're trying to do. And
yeah, let's see what happens with that
she
one.
She goes on to say about the whole ritual proposing marriage bothers her.
Okay, it's because no one's ever asked her to get married, that's why.
What's so funny to me is she talks about how that she never had an engagement ring. And
yeah, that's why she's upset. She's a bitch.
But listen
she
to
needs
this.
therapy.
She says, if my ex-husbands, with an S, my ex-husbands proposed, I would have started laughing. It didn't happen. It was more of a conversation. So it worked so successfully for her. We don't know how many. It's more than
I'd
one.
like to see a picture of her.
More than one. Mm-hmm. Well, from the head up, she was reasonable looking.
Yeah, according to who?
Well, I'm just saying from what I saw. But I'm just telling you, my point is it's another assault on commitment between two people.
Oh, it's just another ridiculous, stupid, deep state crap to make people isolated.
Right, and she said it's not just a romantic gesture, it's a mutual agreement. It has economic and legal implications, and that sounds...
That's what marriage is.
Yes, but the way that she's phrasing it is like, let's take the romance out and go back to economic and legal implications.
And you know what? We should not ever play White Christmas because it's racist.
Yes, but my point is still, many societies now... And it used to be that way back in medieval times, where it was more of a legal economic implication when people married.
It was usually a business deal.
Yes, and so now they're, like she says, she wants to change it. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting, the whole thing. But every time we turn around, there's a new reason.
They just think of stupid things to do, really.
But with enough promotion of it, then pretty soon people start falling in line.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So, with that said, I want to remind you that our December webinars now will begin Tuesday. So you only have like a day or so. If you want to sign up for this December series, it's a special pricing this month for members. Then we'll start up again in January, although we'll have a break around our January class. But sign up for that if you're interested. Be sure you like, comment, and share our YouTube videos and also our Facebook page. If you like that, you get an 8% discount. So
do I get an 8% discount?
I'll give you an 8% discount. So if you want, we have things like name analysis. If you want to know what your name means, it would be a fantastic gift for yourself or other people. On and off-world simultaneous existence scans. We have ones that tell you about your home. We have so many interesting things that will help you understand why your life is the way that it is. These also make fabulous gifts if you have little children on your list or people who speak different language. Our Little Fluff series is really great in color, very easy to understand. We have our Health and Healing series, Hyperspace Helper. We have Healing Archetypes and Symbols and Hyperspace Plus. If you like history, I threw the Stuart says in there because that's a great one, but we have Galactic History, Blue Blood, and we have Humanities History, True World History. So it's really great. And then, of course, everybody should have Decoding in your life, in your library, because this has universal law, and it's an amazing, amazing book. White Owl Legends, if you like Native American things. We've been busy. We have a lot of books.
Well, I'll have to say something about that.
Yeah, and the holiday season coming up. Stuart's autobiography, Montauk Alien Connection, and, of course, these two are really great if you're interested in deprogramming yourself. Mind Control and Deprogramming, The True Reality of Sexuality, 13 Cube. I try to tell people 3 or 4 books max in an envelope because the pricing of shipping I know is horrible, but it's what it is. So we don't have any control over that. But anyway, pick some of these up while you can. If you like our Facebook page, extra 8% discount. If you're a member on our site, an extra 17% discount.
And we should have 4 new books sometime in 2019.
They're in process.
Yeah, I just finished one of them. I'm working on the other 2 or 3.
Well, they have to be edited. They have to be laid out. They have to be printed. So within...
I have to be laid out also.
And printed. So for 2019, we have a lot of things that will be coming to fruition.
All right. So besides the webinar, next week I'll be in Cuba for the medical conference. The January class you mentioned, March, Quito, Ecuador, and of course June, July, Italy, plus.
Yes, so stay tuned. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for sharing and passing the word about Hyperspace Oversoul work, because that will help you heal your mind so your body and your life can permanently heal.
Bye for now.
Bye.